Hi, this is Cassie Kopsa, and this is my presentation for Understanding My Community, which is Beloit, Kansas. Beloit, Kansas was homesteaded in 1866. We didn't receive the name of Beloit until 1870, and prior to that we had been called Willow Springs. The predominant ancestries in Beloit are German, English, Irish, French, and Dutch. We are a rural community in north central Kansas, primarily lower and middle class families. I work for Special Ed Co-op, which serves 5 districts throughout our area, but I live in Beloit, and my children attend Beloit Public Schools, so that'll be the perspective this presentation is from. We are a large 3A district. Each year we waver on that line from between 3A and 4A, but we've stayed 3A consistently. We have an elementary school which serves pre-K through 6, a junior senior high school, which is grades 7 through 12, and we have an alternative learning center for our schools, our students at Beloit, as well as our surrounding districts through special education. Some other interesting just things that I thought about for our school. We have many teachers who grew up in Beloit, or their spouses grew up in Beloit, and they have moved back to teach in the district. So when you've gone through a school district and you're willing to come back and teach in that school district and want to, I think that speaks volumes for the level of education that's provided in our district. This last year we had many teachers retire and a few that moved, and we've scrambled to fill positions with qualified individuals. So we'll see how that plays out over the next couple of years. Overall, our community is very supportive of all of the activities, be it sports or academic related. We just have really involved parents that are willing to step up and do what needs to be done to support kids. We have a technical college in town, the North Central Kansas Technical College, which in the past typically our students that have graduated from our high schools haven't gone to the technical college for their post-secondary education, but in the last couple of years we've seen a significant increase in enrollment of our students from Beloit that go to the technical college. So we're working on fostering those relationships and that transition. Customs and traditions, I've just listed a few here. A big one for us is the 8-man all-star football game that we host every summer. Our Solomon Valley Raceway group has worked hard in the last, I would say, 5 years to get some big races and bring people into our community. And our Chautauqua of Isle of Lights is a huge community activity that it's funded by private as well as business donations, but different community and school groups sponsor the hosting duties throughout the holiday season, from our 4-H clubs to student council to businesses and their employees sponsoring. So that's a big tradition in our community. In 2012, our population was 3,830, with a small decline since 2000, but for the most part, our population stays pretty steady. Education level in our community, 91.4% of the population has a high school level or higher, 22.7% with a bachelor's degree, and 6.7% with a graduate or professional degree. Our median age is 42.8 years of age, and you can see by these percentages that the age ranges are pretty evenly distributed throughout the population, with the exception of the 10.9% age 19 to 24, which is our students that have gone away to college. But as I mentioned previously, a lot of people come back to this community, so that percentage bumps back up after college. The enrollment in our schools, we do have a parochial school in town with the Catholic Church, as well as our public elementary and high school. In our public school, we have 454 students in our grade school, 350 students in our high school. The Catholic school has 75 students in their elementary and 70 students in their high school. In our population, it's kind of an interesting fact to me because I really wasn't aware of this, but males and females there's an pretty even percentage throughout our population. So if you're talking about swaying the vote or opinion surveys, it's going to be pretty even across the board. Occupations, we're primarily a farming community. We have several manufacturing industries that employ a large number of people. Many retail businesses, many employed in education and the medical field through our hospital and our nursing home. We are primarily a white community, with 95.6% of our population being white, then 3% Hispanic, and a few we would consider of Asian or African American descent. 79.6% of our population is affiliated with a religious congregation. We do have 10 churches in town. The predominant religious affiliation is Catholic at 41%, followed by Methodist, and then our Lutheran and our Christian churches. Communication channels, we do have 3 local radio stations that do a fantastic job of making announcements, having various programs that highlight community activities or organizations and school organizations, sponsor student of the month, those types of things. So they're very involved in getting information out to our community. And I would say this is primarily the channel of communication that people use as far as school and community. We do have a local television station through our cable company that lists community events, advertisements, and school closings, and we also get local news and school closings from various Wichita TV stations. We do have a newspaper that is published 3 times a week, and we have access to the Salino Journal, which is a daily newspaper for us. Foreign language impact, even though the Hispanic population is only at 3.3%, we have seen an increase over the last few years, which has given rise to a need for translation at parent-teacher conferences or school functions. And we have a retired Spanish teacher in town that does most of that translation for us, as well as family members of these Hispanic families who speak fluent English can translate for them. We've had a slight need for some ELL instruction at the school level, although we haven't hired a teacher for this position. The district has invested in software and online programs to help our students that are primarily Spanish speaking to help them to learn English. We have lots of community groups in Beloit. I've highlighted the ones that are probably the most involved as far as partnering between the school and the community. Our Rotary and Lions Club sponsor various activities for our kids. The Rotary Club sponsors the girls softball program in summer, and the Lions Club sponsors the boys baseball program, as well as different activities throughout the year. Leadership Mitchell County is a group of young business leaders who work together to promote our community. This summer they're providing a program for upper elementary age students to help them learn leadership skills. Our ministerial alliance, made up of the leaders of the various churches in town, is very involved in our community and involved with our kids and supporting our schools. The Beloit Parks and Rec Department has various sports and education related activities for our youth as well as adults in our community, so they're a really important group to get students and families and community members involved. Heart Choices is a nonprofit organization in town that provides counseling and help to unwed mothers or parents who need some parenting education, but they also work through our school system for our junior high and high school age students for some sex education programs. Most churches have a youth groups affiliated with them. We have active 4-H clubs, and we have the Beloit Area Chamber of Commerce, which works at supporting businesses as well as bringing new businesses to our community. In our school, we have, at our elementary school, we have a very active parent-teacher organization that works hard throughout the school year to promote activities that get families and students into the school building and working together to promote our school in a positive light. We have a site council made up of parents, community members, and administration whose primary focus is to increase parent and community involvement. One activity they did this last year was to implement a monthly Friend of BES award where they recognize community members, volunteers, or businesses who made an impact on the school and were awarded a certificate and had a picture taken. We have an employee council which staff members go through if they want to see policy and procedure changes. They go through the employee council first before it goes to the school board. We have a BIC committee, which is our curriculum and planning committee, a district leadership team made up of the superintendent and the building leaders who meet weekly for discussion and problem solving, and we've recently added the administration team from the technical college to this group either every other month or quarterly to meet and begin to foster that relationship and see how we can help each other out in these times of a budget crunch. And our high school booster club, which is active in promoting student activities. In the past, it's typically been focused on sports, but with some new members on the booster club, we begin recognizing and supporting other activities for our kids. We have a mayor city council form of government with a mayor and 8 city council members that are elected to 4-year terms. As I mentioned before, we have a very active chamber of commerce with some strong business leaders who have worked really hard to expand and advance our community through involvement in activities. The superintendent of our school has been with us for 1 year. He does have a lot of experience with him, but it was his first year in our district. We have 7 members on our school board from diverse backgrounds as far as their age and what they do for a job. We have 2 females and 5 males. The characteristics of our community leaders, the mayor and the city council, are available through email, phone calls, and letters. City council meetings are open to the public and they're televised on the local cable channel. I feel like a concern that I have is our current city council members none of them currently have children in school, and for that matter, grandchildren. So there may be a disconnect between our city leaders and our school, and as far as student needs and school needs, and how they could partner. And I feel like sometimes their decisions are made through their own personal agendas and not really looking at the community as a whole. We have a library and recreation board, among some other boards that are very involved in community projects and getting our community members and kids active. We have a group of parents, not necessarily working together, but there are various adults in our community in the age range of 35 to 45 that work really hard to spearhead a lot of school and community functions to get new things into our community. And for example, our community got a new pool primarily from this group, or a specific group of parents and community members working hard to get it on the ballot and doing the research and the footwork, the legwork to get this project up and going. Our community is encouraged to contact our superintendent and school board through emails and phone numbers listed on our school website. And as is probably typical in most schools, the school board meetings aren't well attended by the community or parents unless there's a problem or there's a parent there supporting their student who's making a presentation to the board. I feel like our superintendent has connected with our staff as well as parents in the community in his first year in our district, and he truly wants what's best for students, and he's visible in our community and in our buildings, and our students know who he is, and he's just made a huge impact in a short amount of time. As far as economic conditions, the median household income is $48,171. We have a low unemployment rate. A concerning statistic to me is the 40.67% of our students considered economically disadvantaged, and that 43% who qualify for free and reduced lunches. We do have several programs in place to address those needs, but it still is kind of an alarming statistic to me. We have had 20 new businesses in the last 5 years in our community. Our hospital continues to grow and employ more people. We have Sunflower Manufacturing and Carico Implement in town that continue to expand and provide employment opportunities. As I said earlier, our population and our enrollment typically remain steady. The school board and the superintendent are typically on the same page. Our school board, in a short amount of time, has created a high level of trust in our superintendent, and he hasn't done anything to damage that level of trust. And so they don't typically question his decisions or his suggestions, and they just work really well together to do what's best for students. They have the budget in mind, ways that we can save money but still meet needs. So they're just really, this statement is kind of an oxymoron, I guess. They're progressive yet conservative. They're looking for ways to expand our district, yet they're very conservative in making those decisions, in that they try to learn all the facts and find out everything they can before they make a decision. Our school staff is very involved in the community, especially in the interest of our students and families. They're out there coaching baseball teams or attending church activities, and they're just very visible in our community, which helps foster that relationship. There are always questions about why money is spent here and not there, and our administration recently has done a really good job of educating our staff on the budget so they understand it, so then they can then educate the community so everybody understands what has to be spent where. As far as social tensions in our community, we're not a culturally diverse community, but I feel like very supportive of families from different cultures and help them out in their times of needs. On the other hand, new families might say that it's difficult finding acceptance in the community of Beloit. As I said earlier, many families grew up here and they moved back here to raise their children, so those social groups are already established, and people may describe it as cliquey. The biggest social tension, I think, comes between the public and the parochial school. This is mostly between the adults and the parents. The kids seems like between the two different schools support each other, but the parents have a hard time